Went through institutional accreditation in Bahrain recently, and I know the university here has gone through institutional accreditation. And when you look at the institutional accreditation methodology, they are almost the same across the globe, almost universal now. So you need to deal as leaders with students, with staff, with policies, with governance, with infrastructures, with teaching, research, and community engagement and quality. This is typical in any university. But when you take one particular aspect, let's take students, and look at the student's life cycle, life becomes easier, so you know what you're doing. So if I take students, the students go through a life cycle from admission to orientation and advising, to teaching, to progression, to support, to employability, to become alumni. There's a life cycle. As a leader of the group, as a leader in the university, you will be able to manage the different phases from admission all the way to alumni. The same applies to staff. From the moment you recruit them, how then you can induct them, how you promote them, and then workload, which you mentioned. How do you manage their workload? You specify the percentage of teaching, research, enterprise, administration, community engagement they have to do. Then they feel better that they know the percentage of their workload. But it's a very complicated task, I must admit. And then you manage their development, their satisfaction, and their retention. By the time they exit the university, that's it. Policies. You look at development, compliance, version control, the storage, the ownership, and the procedure, the implementation, the links to your bylaws. Then the governance, all the way from transparency, the management, the bylaws, the committee, the minutes, the action, into closing the loop. Unfortunately, in our part of the world, we are not good in closing the loop. We start things, we don't close them. And in the West, they close everything. The loop is closed. They know they start something, and they close it. I'm going to show you some examples. Strategy. You go all the way from vision, mission, values, strategic planning, operational planning, budgeting, risk management, KPIs, appraisal, feedback. These are the pillars of a good strategy. Life cycle, infrastructure, from campus to library to e-learning, to class labs, to social space, to IT, to sport, to accommodation for students, and so on. And then teaching. As leaders, we have to cover the curriculum, the delivery, different delivery. It's not the broadcasting model anymore. We have to deal with our course portfolio, which takes time as leaders. Technology and innovation, lesson plans and class observation, the assessment of students and feedback. Very long cycle. Research, we have covered it all the way from groups to training to funding, to infrastructure, to publication and citation, to conferences, to impact. And then community and business engagement. You have to look at enterprise, funding, entrepreneurship, what you have mentioned to me before. It's so important now to create an entrepreneurial skills for your students. So you need to look at it, community and business engagement. And goes all the way through funding, the economic impact and the social impact of the university and the quality of life. Then it goes through quality. Quality through, once again, through a life cycle, from the quality manual you produce, to the quality assurance, to the surveys you done, committees, the quality management system, the benchmarking activities of your program, and closing the loop once again. So I want to show you some things about closing the loop. You start something, a survey, you have done the student survey, and then from that one you develop an action plan. Then you have to provide the evidence that you have done it. If you are satisfied, then you have closed the loop. If you haven't, then you have to do further improvement, and you have to close the loop. Otherwise, everything will be fluid. You don't close the loop in any area. And this is very, very dangerous as a leader and as a manager of an institution. You have to close the loop. For everything you start, you have to finish it. Look at the students' evaluation of teaching. You have been evaluated by students. They said some improvements are needed. So the faculty development said academic staff should be developed, and they developed a plan for that. Then you measure, is teaching improved? Are you satisfied? Then you have done it. If not, you put further improvement for the academic staff until you close the loop. So closing the loop is really, really important. And I want to remind you again of the pillars of good research, please, especially for the newcomers into research. Research depends on the critical literature review of the subject you are doing, the theoretical underpinnings, the research methodology which we have covered today, talking about epistemology, ontology, and axiology. It all depends on data collections and analysis, the validation of the results, the writing style, and the references. And please, for the writing style, my advice to you is to use simple English, not complicated English. They don't care about the language. They want clarity in the style. They want flowing style, a convincing style. It's like almost telling a story. If you start using very complicated English, and the referees has to go and use the dictionary, even though they could be, their mother tongue is English, they still need to go and use the dictionary. They don't like it. So use simple English. As long as you provide the evidence, as long as you describe the methodology, you will have no problem whatsoever. And you can ask somebody to proofread your paper. Nothing wrong with it. We have all done it. Now I'm going to talk about the challenges and opportunities maybe to conclude almost the presentation. So when you look at the challenges facing us, we have students to educate, we have staff to manage and lead, which is not easy. We're looking at sustainability issues now, energy consumption in universities, savings, capacity, creating capacity, developing staff, looking at the infrastructure and investing in new labs and new buildings. And then we still look at teaching, research, and community engagement. This is a challenge for all of us, and quality, where we are visited almost every year by a program review panel or an institution accreditation panel or a professional body accreditation panel. It's all every day there is something happening in terms of quality and recognition. But the opportunities are many. If you look at Vision 2030 in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, this gives you hope that things are moving in the right direction. There will be plenty of opportunity for all of us maybe. The strategies are clear. The region is becoming a knowledge hub. People are coming all the way from Nigeria now and Kazakhstan to study in the region. There are some good trends. If you look at the league tables, the QS and others, the Faisal University have done well. Many universities in the kingdom have done well. The Saudi universities are doing really well. So this will give you confidence that you are moving in the right direction. Opportunities for doctoral programs. Unfortunately, we don't have many PhD programs in the region. We should have much more. But this will help us in terms of doing research and publishing and using publication. PhD research is so important to have in the region. Technology now is an opportunity, and international, we can link with anybody across the globe. In terms of teaching and learning, we have to use more technology and social media. The future is in artificial intelligence and robots. Everybody is talking about that. Different delivery mode, the broadcasting model, the teaching model. The traditional model is dead. We need to rely more on problem solving, case study, action research. And entrepreneurship, once again, you can see is one of the pillars which is really important to create entrepreneurs for the future and innovation. Just to conclude by looking at the art and science of leadership once again before I cover a little bit of change management. The pillars of good leadership are storytelling, leading by example, passion, we have mentioned it 4 times so far, innovation, knowledge, charisma and style, and integrity. Now, in the last maybe 15 minutes, I would like to cover quickly change and conclude. So we're almost there, almost done. So we need to believe in change. We have to change. We have to look for better cheese. If you are doing research now, it will become out of date. You need to be looking for new research, new ideas, new innovation, new teaching methods. So you have to be on the move all the time. Keep changing, keep improving. And change is driven by people, not organizations. Nobody will force you to do change. This comes from within. You need to believe that you have to change to improve. So I'm going to share with you a story about change management in a book called Who Moved My Cheese by Spencer Johnson. And it's a story about 4 characters, 2 mice and 2 people who are in a maze looking for cheese. And the cheese is disappearing. You can see the mice are looking for new cheese, but the people are waiting and blaming who's taken our cheese. How many people have read this Who moved my cheese? Have you read it? Okay. So I'm going to scroll quickly through it, but this is the essence of the story. So the story of Sniff, Scurry, him, with 4 characters who live in a maze, and Sniff is a mouse, and Scurry is a mouse, and him is a little person, and Rose is a person. And they're all eating cheese now in the maze. You can see the mice and the people spend their day searching for cheese in different ways. The mice rely on instinct to sniff out, Scurry the cheese. The people develop sophisticated methods to find the cheese. Sometimes their beliefs and judgment could color their decision. But eventually they all find their cheese. So, living with the cheese. Every day, the 4 return to the cheese. Sniff and Scurry, the mice enjoy the cheese but remain ready to move on. Him who believe the cheese will last forever. You cannot do the same research forever. It doesn't last forever. You cannot use the same teaching method. You cannot use the same presentation. Having cheese makes them all happy. One day the cheese was all gone. Sniff and Scurry were not surprised. They noticed the cheese was getting smaller. They found new cheese. Him and Ho took the cheese. Who moved my cheese? They were blaming somebody straight away. Instead of searching for new cheese, they were blaming somebody. Who moved my cheese? Sniff and Scurry searched the maze and soon found the new cheese. The new cheese was better than the old. Him and Ho couldn't believe the cheese was gone, and they began, etc. They returned the next day, still missing. Why did they do this to us? How many times we have said it ourselves? Why did they do this to us? Maybe we have done it ourselves. We should have moved faster. And after several days, Ho realized that doing the same thing was futile, etc. So he found the cheese. But him, never, ever, because he doesn't believe in change. He's resistant to change. He couldn't find the cheese. And the story is, would him ever move with the cheese? There are some individuals who resist change. They are not going to search for new cheese. They are not going to search for new opportunities. They will be left behind. Take my word for this one. They will not survive. So now, I want to cover this Kotter 8 phases change management model. This is a very powerful change management model for people who want to make a change in the organization. It's built around 8 steps. Step 1, establish a sense of urgency, create a coalition, develop a clear vision, share the vision, empower the people, secure short-term, consolidate, and then anchor. And establishing the sense of urgency, you have to create it. Like you may say, our publication number, the quality is not improving. Let's set up a team. There's a sense of urgency. They will not get the promotion. We may not get our job renewed. So you create a sense of urgency. And then you create a coalition. You said, let's find 3 or 4 of us who are capable in different areas within the same discipline, and let's go and publish more. Do more research, publish more. So you set the coalition. Then you develop the vision, the plan. You share it among the group of 4 or 5. You empower them. You say, please, if you need data, I'm going to give you, etc. And then you secure short-term wins. You publish your first paper in top-rated journal. You say, oh my God, wallah, this has helped me. I'll publish more. So the sense of urgency has led to the first publication. Once you have the first publication, you can consolidate and you anchor. It becomes the oxygen you breathe. It's part of your culture. This is another model where people, if they are addressing an objective, being objective, and they believe in regulation, they become functionalists, bureaucrats, and if they are subjective and they believe in radical change, then they are radical humanists. So you can see in organizations you need both radical humanists and the bureaucrats. But an organization which loaded with bureaucrats will fail, and if it's only loaded with radical humanists, it will fail as well. So you need a combination of individuals. This is a dashboard which shows innovation. You can measure the performance of your university for all areas, teaching, research, enterprise, and using a dashboard. Traffic light approach. This is our strategic plan in the university, at Applied Science University in Bahrain. We put almost everything on one slide. We put it on posters, on screens in the university, so whoever is coming to visit us, our students can read it. So they know about the vision, the mission, the strategic objective of the university, and the values. So So they see them every day. It's a nice diagram. It reflects the university clock, and it relates to people. So you can see somebody wanted to be innovative, created a diagram of strategy, which is really fantastic. It's helping us immensely. Now, to summarize, this is the very final slide. The first one is believing in ourselves. الويل لأمة تأكل مما لا تزرع وتلبس مما لا تنسج. جبران خليل جبران. If we are not confident that we can sell what we produce, then we shouldn't do research. We shouldn't do any teaching. We should be very confident that we are good as any other nation, as any other university, top university. I think it's very important for us. Now this one, working with joy. If you are in a university and you don't enjoy it, you are wasting your time. You should enjoy what you are doing. Irrespective of the tensions, politics, etc., you have to enjoy it. Otherwise, you'll not survive. You're spending more time in the university than at home. And you are miserable, it doesn't help you. Let's remind ourselves of some leadership quotes once again. The function of leadership is to produce more leaders, not more followers. Leadership should produce more leaders, not more followers. If I'm a good leader and you are all following me, I'm not a good leader. I will finish. Next year I may retire. You need the succession planning. You need the new leaders. So the art is producing the new leaders, not the new followers. And leadership, he who has never learned to obey cannot be a good commander. And I feel strongly about this one. I have seen people how, if you have progressed through the ranks from head of school to dean, to vice president, to president, you know as a president or vice president how the dean feels, how the head of school feels, how the research group director feels. Otherwise, how can you have a feeling of how they feel if you haven't done it? You have to do it. So if you have, he who has never learned to obey cannot be a good commander. And Charles de Gaulle, a true leader always leaves an element of surprise up his or her sleeves. And Tony Blair, the art of leadership is saying no, not saying yes. It's very easy to say yes, even though he says yes. I don't want to do it because Mother Teresa, you can do what I cannot do. I can do what you cannot do. Together, we can do great things. Believe me. I want to almost conclude with this one, that working together, it will open so many doors for us. It will help us immensely as teams. The lonely researchers, they cannot do research on their own anymore. Lonely individuals cannot succeed in universities. Only teams can succeed. You have to work as a team, publish together, work together to succeed. Now I want to tell you the story of the king and the toaster and how to be pragmatic in life. There was a king who wanted a toaster. He asked an engineer and a bureaucrat to produce it for him. The engineer went home, designed the toaster, manufactured it, put some bread, he got toasted bread. He couldn't wait to see the king in the morning. He went to the king, said, "King, here is the toaster." The king plugged it in, put some bread, he got toasted bread. He was over the moon. All what I wanted, toasted bread. That's it. The bureaucrat disappeared for 20 years. And he came to the king and said to the king, "King, here is the design of the toaster." He had plans which covered this room maybe. And he said to the king, "King, you can use this toaster as a hair dryer. You can use it as a coffee machine. You can use it as a toaster." And the story ends by saying the king decided to imprison the bureaucrat and they all lived happily ever after. Imagine, the brief was very clear. I want a toaster. And the guy disappeared for 20 years to produce a design for him to do hair drying, maybe his ball, and to do a coffee machine. So my message to you is to be pragmatic, to respond to the brief, and to move fast, not to just produce the best paper ever. It will take you forever. You produce your paper, you ask colleagues to review it for you, you submit it, you may get corrections, you deal with them, you submit it again. But to do a toaster which can produce, become hair dryer and coffee machine, it doesn't work at all. So pragmatism is the answer. And please, my advice to you, I was working in Kuwait, I have a Kuwaiti friend who kept telling me, we fail because of hypocrisy, jealousy, and mistrust. And I call them my friend's triangle, the ingredients of failure. If you want to fail, become more jealous and more hypocritical and don't trust people. It's the ingredients for failure. And look at this one, من أجمل الأقوال, sorry to our non-Arabic speaking colleagues, this is saying by Najib Mahfouz, a very famous writer and philosopher, and he says here that, please don't tell me about the people who hate me, because people come to gossip. I don't want to know about them, I love them. He doesn't want to hear about them, whether they like him or not. And this is because فرسول الأمة يقول لا تقل لي شيء عن أصحابي فأنا جاء. Even the Prophet, when he wanted to go out, he wants to go with his big smile, with his peace inside him, to say, I love everybody, please don't tell me if somebody is not happy with me and they are gossiping behind their back. Very powerful messages from, of course, a great prophet and a great author as well. Be happy, and this is one guy who works at Faisal University from Bangladesh. He smiles 24 hours, and sometimes I keep telling myself, I wish I was Haidar. Because you go home, you take all your problems. He's a smiling character, he's happy, and he's a leader. We should punch above our weight. You can see him in Namdian carrying a very big piece of bread. And to conclude, what we have covered today, that leaders could be born or made. We talked about our leaders, are they born or made, and we agreed mainly they could be made. Some theory said they are born. We looked at the leadership style, whether it's autocratic, democratic, or laissez-faire. We looked at the type of leadership, which are transactional, transformational, or inspirational. Then we look at the challenges facing higher education in general, how we can make the change, and we ended up with few quotes about leadership. And I would like to thank you from the heart for listening to me for 4.5 hours. I wish you all the best. Thank you.